going to make a statement about the fire. Then Mayor Sarno is going to speak, and then Fire Marshal Ostrowski is going to speak. Good morning. This morning at 49 Belmont Street, we received a call. Our automatic fire alarm came in at 7:20. First in, fire companies on scene found heavy fire on the second floor extending to the third from those two windows right there. They stretched the tack lines on the fire and started to get fire knocked down. We had fire extending to the third floor. People were jumping from the windows on arrival. Primary search was conducted at that time. People were evacuated from the building. During the course of the fire, we were told that there were occupants missing. 3 occupants from the second floor were reported missing. We started a search process for those people. We have since found them. We have found 3 bodies. We have 3 confirmed fatalities from this fire. We cannot identify anybody at this time. That will come from the district attorney's office as the investigation progresses. 4 people were transported to the hospital, and there's approximately between 60 and 80 people displaced. That's all I have at this time on the fire. Do you guys have any questions on that?
What's happening to the 80 people displaced right now?
Pardon?
What's happening?
Right now we've got them on the PVTA bus, 2 PVTA buses, and Mayor Sparno will speak to that shortly.
Did this building have any sprinklers that you could see or an alarm at all when you got on scene?
The alarms were going off when the companies arrived on scene. There are no sprinklers in this building.
Do you know what year the building was roughly built in?
I do not have that information at this time. All right, Mayor Sarno is going to speak now.
First of all, I want to thank Commissioner Calvi and our brave and dedicated men and women in the fire department and the police department for their heroic efforts here. I appreciate that Fire Marshal Ostrowski is here from the state. What we did immediately with the families to make sure, working with PVTA, that we had buses on the scene to warm them up in the American Red Cross. We are now working with my building department, the fire department, and the landlord here for temporary shelter to see if there's a possibility some of the building can be occupied. Meantime, we'll be down at 510 Main Street. The South End Citizens Council has been very gracious to open up their building area on the corner of Broad Street temporarily. If we have to, if they're unable to be placed in hotels or motels, the city once again will step forward to have a sheltering type facility on it. My sympathy, thoughts and prayers and encouragement go out to the affected family members that here as we hurried them to the bus area. It's obviously a tragic situation that has occurred. Any type of loss of life on it, and we'll get to the bottom of this. And right now we're trying to console the families and the residents who've been displaced right now and make sure they're warm in these frigid temperatures. And I'll let the professionals through the fire department, the state fire marshal, our police department, District Attorney Gallooni, move on the investigative piece, but we'll be here for quite a while. And right now, our thoughts and prayers go out to the families that have been affected by this tragedy. State Fire Marshal Ostrowski.
Thank you. Good morning. As both the mayor and the commissioner spoke to, through the excellent work of the Springfield Fire Department, this fire is extinguished. We are in the very early stages of a joint investigation that will be undertaken by the Springfield Fire Department, Springfield Police Department, state police assigned to the Office of the State Fire Marshal, and state police assigned to the District Attorney Gallooni's office. So we're in the very, very preliminary stages of that, but through the excellent work of the fire suppression team, we have a limited scene to work with, and this fire is under control, but the investigation's in the earliest stages.
There was about a 20-mile-an-hour wind blowing down here this morning. The rear windows on the second floor failed from fire damage. Once the rear windows failed, the wind drove the fire right through the second floor.
Just to let you know, too, many of these families are Somalian families, and I've made outreach to Jewish Family Services. They are the main resettlement agency when we talk to the landlord that placed these families. So we're trying to see we get everything we can get our hands on to try to help these families out. From initial information from my Dave Cotter, my code enforcement housing director, indicates this has been a good landlord and had a good property. Many a times when there's cultural differences, sometimes people might not adhere to the smoke detectors alarms going off on it. And again, the investigation will move forward at this point in time. But our thoughts and prayers and sympathy go out to the affected families. Right now, we're here to make sure not only that they're warm, but to console them moving forward. The majority of the occupants are from Somali descent, and it's a tragic situation.
And you said, obviously, people were jumping from the second story of the building.
People jump from the second and third stories of the building. The ladder company was trying to get the ladder up, and they couldn't even get it out of the bed, and people were coming out the windows.
And a man and child, you said?
I don't know who jumped out the windows. People were transported rapidly to the hospital, but there was reports of people jumping out the windows.
4 people were transported?
4 people were transported to the hospital.
Any details on if they're men or women?
I don't want to get that. I don't want to.
I do not know. They were gone rapidly, so.
Any information about their injuries?
I would believe the injuries are minor at this time. I did see people walking that were taken to the ambulance, so I don't have a good list on injuries right now, but I would assume their injuries are minor.
Would you say the weather did impact as well? I see a lot of salt and stuff being thrown down.
It was very cold this morning. Companies were slipping on the ice. We had several people slip and fall through the icy conditions because it was so cold. We were using a lot of water.
We had DPW call in DPW to make sure that they were able to sand and sand the areas, not only for our firefighters, but when this eventually does close down, there's going to be pedestrian and vehicular traffic. But I can't say enough about Commissioner Calvi and our brave and dedicated firefighters and police fire. They were going in and out of this place, and it was like an ice skating ring. As you can tell now, the temperatures are frigid, and there was a biting wind. I think we're in the single digits here, and that's why it was so important to make sure we got the individuals housed in the PVTA buses to warm them up and give them some type of shelter and some type of encouragement.
Estimated time on when this road is going to reopen?
No estimate at this time. The investigation is ongoing. There's going to be equipment here for most of the day, so I have no estimate on the official time the road's going to reopen.
Is the cause at all suspicious?
It's under investigation at this time.
And any idea how many actual apartments are in the
20, I believe 20 units. 20 units.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
very much.